Hello, Chinook and Steelhead members. Bob Reese with the Guides Forecast. Your forecast for tomorrow, Monday, August 30th. We're nearing the end of the month. That means Chinook are still streaming into the river, and coho are too, especially with a run as big as is forecast this year. Given the prediction of what the numbers would be, I gotta say I'm a little disappointed that fishing isn't better. Whether that means the fish are not showing in the numbers predicted or they're not biting in the estuary, it could be either one. I've seen it happen both ways. So only time will tell if the numbers are showing. Certainly reports from upriver are pretty spectacular. Longview, Kalama, those areas seem to be fishing really good right now for those folks that are working the pro trolls and targeting Chinook. Tongue point bite, a lot of anticipation. You heard about it in the report. It was underwhelming, but there were some boats that did pretty well up there today. I was not one of those boats. I didn't get the feeling there was an overwhelming number of Chinook in that reach of river. The tides do continue to get better through Tuesday, even Wednesday. So we'll see how that fishery performs. As you likely already know, we really look to target tongue point Chinook on the lowest of low tide exchanges, which we're coming into right now. So the next several days will be interesting. So you've got choices for tomorrow. The better bite that I saw today at tongue point was from first light through high tide, which this morning was probably about 7:30. So tomorrow will be an hour later, maybe 8:30. Just not a lot of water exchange happening. The Chinook theoretically should bite better every day as we get into this weaker tide series. I was really disappointed that the Chinook did not go in the first part of outgoing tide like Tongue Point has a history, like the whole estuary has a history of doing over the last several decades. Of course, that just doesn't happen every year. I don't understand why that's not consistent, but it's fishing. So, your options are twofold in my opinion. Go up to Tongue Point, target Chinook. If you get lucky, you have to make a decision. You're legally not allowed to fish below tongue point for coho. There are a lot of coho in the river. The best time for the coho fishing is also the last part of incoming tide. At least that's the way it is here last couple days. That's in the Washington side above the bridge. We had good fishing both in the morning and in the late afternoon on that flood tide over there by the rest stop up to the shipwreck, targeting 32 to 36 foot of water. We start trolling in the deep water and work our way into the shallows, shallow being 32 foot, and marked a lot of fish, had a lot of bites, caught some keepers, released some wild ones, released some Chinook. Then the first part of outgoing tide, which again historically is a very productive time to fish, has not been productive last couple of days. So there might be a little bit of a lull there. And then as the tide starts getting some momentum, we should see the bite pick up for both coho on the Washington side and also Chinook on the Oregon side. There was a bite up above Tongue Point, above Rice Island by Miller Island on the latter, probably the middle part, probably the peak ebb, as a matter of fact, is when some of those fish are being caught between 10:30 and 1 o'clock. One of my fellow fishing friends had mentioned is when their nephew did well up there. So it seems to be a spinner show. A lot of folks did well on spinners. The small 3.5s behind the pro trolls. I drug a big old size 7 on the bottom like we did when we first found out about that fishery. That never got bit. We got a coho on the other side later in the tide on that spinner, but there were also guideboats that did well on herring, supposedly, up there at Tongue Point as well. And so those are kind of your options. And so simply put, last part of incoming tide, Tongue Point for Chinook. You could go over to the Washington side, start your day off there, hopefully catch some hatchery coho. The hatchery to wild ratio was better today than it was yesterday, and then you can legally go up in Tongue Point and target Chinook. You just can't do it the other way around. You cannot have a Chinook in your box and then come down and fish in waters that are closed to Chinook downstream of Tongue Point. So be aware of that. I don't know what's going to happen out at the buoy 10 line. There's been little effort below the bridge last couple days because of a strong northwest wind that's turned the lower river upside down. I think it's supposed to blow 10 to 15 tomorrow. So we could see that same sort of wind weather setup in the estuary. That'll keep most of the people upstream, where again there's lots of fish. So lots of seals over there on the Washington side as well. So be wary of that. We're going to be battling that for the next several weeks here. So that's your forecast for tomorrow, August 30th. The season is getting to the end, so good luck if you get out.